Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my virtual library. Today I'm going to read you a story about math. Yes, math. It has to do with math and it has to do with numbers. We're going to read How Much is a Million? It was written by David M. Schwartz and pictures by Stephen Kellogg. How much is a million? If 1 million kids climbed onto one another's shoulders, they would be taller than the tallest buildings, higher than the highest mountains, and farther up than airplanes can fly. If you wanted to count from 1 to 1 million, it would take you about 23 days. If a goldfish bowl were big enough for 1 million goldfish, it would be large enough to hold a whale. Presto, 100 stars. If this book had 1 million tiny stars, they would fill 70 pages. Climb aboard. So there's 100. 1 million stars. There you have 100,000 stars. If we take this 7-page journey 10 times, we'll pass 1 million stars. Let's do that later. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. So can you do that math? I'll read that again. If we take this 7-page journey 10 times, we'll pass 1 million stars. Think about that equation. How big is a billion? If 1 billion kids made a human tower, they would stand up past the moon. If you sat down to count from 1 to 1 billion, you would be counting for 95 years. If you found a goldfish bowl large enough to hold 1 billion goldfish, it would be as big as a stadium. If this book had 1 billion tiny stars, its pages spread side by side would stretch almost 10 miles. How tremendous is a trillion? If 1 trillion kids stood on top of each other, they would reach way, way, way beyond the moon. Beyond Mars and Jupiter too, and almost as far as Saturn's rings. If you wanted to count from 1 to 1 trillion, it would take you almost 200,000 years. If you put 1 trillion goldfish in a goldfish bowl, the bowl would have to be as big as a city harbor. If you put 1 trillion of our stars onto a gigantic roll of paper, it would stretch all the way from New York to New Zealand. Did that seem a little unbelievable to you? Well, right here in the back of the book, they explain the math. So for instance, when they calculated how many kids could stand on each other's shoulders and how far it would reach, they figured out what the average height of someone would be. Do you guys know how to find an average? So they said that 4 foot 8 inches is an average height for elementary school students. So then they took that height, and if they formed a tower, okay, and so they did the math here. So they took, let's see here, I'm going to just read it to you. Some children are tall and some are short, but 4 foot 8 inches is an average height for elementary school students. Since the shoulders of a 4 foot 8 child are about 4 feet high, so that means 8 inches for their head from here to here. If the tower formed by children standing on each other's shoulders would equal 4 times the number of children involved. Thus, a column consisting of 1 million kids would be 4 million feet high, which is approximately 757.5 miles. Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world, is 29,000 28 feet. That's 5.5 miles high. So that's when they said it was higher than the highest mountain. This book is in our library. So when we come back to school, whenever that is, next fall, you guys can check out this book and you can check the math yourself. I always encourage you guys to check your sources and check the math. Okay? So if you don't believe me, check out the book and find out. But I think that was pretty cool. So thanks guys for tuning in for How Much is a Million, and I hope you guys have a great week. Bye everybody.